Hello, my name is Gretchen, and some people call me Miss G. Welcome back. I'm going to continue the talk on collective consciousness theory, the 100th monkey theory, and we are all connected. Rupert Sheldrake is a biologist and worked in developmental biology. He is known for his theory on morphic resonance, and it is basically the same thing as what Carl Jung was saying on collective consciousness. Except in Sheldrake's theory, it involves all the different species, which can and does include humans based on his theory. Sheldrake's theory of morphic resonance is also known as the 100th monkey effect, or theory. Sheldrake developed a theory that places each species in its own group consciousness. So the 100th monkey effect, or morphic resonance theory, states that each species has its own morphic resonance, or collective consciousness. Meaning all the birds, fish, humans, monkeys, butterflies, all the different species have their own little group cloud. This is how I viewed this concept in order to understand it. I see this consciousness as individual clouds above the heads of each and every type of species, including humans. These clouds connect to each other's clouds in this specific group. And each individual cloud is connected to a bigger cloud of this specific group or species, called the collective consciousness or morphic resonance cloud of that particular species or group. And this houses everything about the species and records everything ever done. Does that sound familiar? This in turn determines how they will act, think, behave, and more. This collective consciousness or morphic resonance and the 100th monkey theory is all one and the same. This collective consciousness with all species is a big, massive cloud that connects each different species. And it is where all species' minds meet and connects to their individual types or group. Look at humanity, for example. Right now, the human species cloud of collective consciousness is being influenced by violence, anger, hate, generational inheritances, and more. This means the human race needs healing, or that behavior will eventually begin to affect us all because of our connection to this collective consciousness. Those affected don't even know they're being influenced. Okay, I'm going to go a different route for those of you out there who learn differently. I want to use a scale of 100% to represent this human group or species. Just for example purposes only. We will place the human group collective consciousness on a scale. And the scale has 100% on one end, which is positive, and 100% on the other end, which is negative, with 0 in the middle. So what's happening when we place this human group consciousness on this scale, and once it reaches a critical mass percentage, which incites violence, anger, hate, and rioting, which means it moved from 0 toward a certain mass percentage. And this is why more and more people are becoming influenced and are participating in violence and anger and hate. There actually really are as a type of brainwashing. There is more of a percentage of this negative energy going on than there is love and positive action. So here, the hint is the influence of our collective consciousness. We see this today affecting humanity. And in turn, we need to keep in mind, those of us not involved can tip the scales back on this if we decide to do our part. This is based on the concept everything starts spiritually or energetically first, and then it will manifest. All we need to do to effect change is to reach that critical mass or that percentage to tip the scales the other way. We can do this by changing our thoughts, behaviors, and healing through the practices of walking our talk to help the human race and practicing spiritual concepts, going back to church, practicing our spirituality, showing compassion and understanding, eliminating judgments, and educating those involved with what is happening today and more. And by doing this, we can affect human thought processes of those today to become more positive. And this, when we reach that critical mass, will stop the violence, hate, and anger because we're pushing the scale the other way. Keep in mind, everyone still has free will. They still have the right to choose because that's a gift. This is enough information, I think, to give you the idea of this concept or theory. Now I want to talk about the 100th monkey theory, also known as the morphic resonance. I will explain this in my way for others to understand. I think he may have extended his research from another guy named Watson about monkeys and their behaviors. So this is how I tell the story for simple understanding. It may not be totally accurate for scientists, but guess what? I'm not a scientist. But close enough to get the message across, and this is how I simplified the theory. There was a scientific group or scientist that was doing research on the behavior of monkeys. He went overseas, and I'm pretty sure it was in Japan. He got a certain number of monkeys to do experiments with. He brought them back to the mainland and taught them different behaviors like signing and washing their food and that kind of stuff. He changed their behavior, which was opposite of the monkeys found in the jungle. When he felt he had taught them to the point where he couldn't teach anymore, he went back overseas and brought some more monkeys back to the mainland. He taught them to change their behavior. And when he thought he was done, they were done and couldn't be taught anymore, he went back. But when he arrived, he found the monkeys in the jungle were doing the same behaviors that the monkeys on the mainland were taught to do. Anyway, this is the gist of the theory. This meant that a critical mass or critical percentage of this type of monkey species was reached with this changed behavior, and it created a spontaneous change in their behavior of the whole group or species worldwide. This will work the same for the human species too. This means an immediate transfer of information, knowledge, ideas, etc. when a mass percentage is reached inside a particular group consciousness. Remember, it is spontaneous, and when a certain percentage is reached, then a spontaneous learning will take place within that group and will affect all of the species at the same time worldwide. This includes humans, remember? Put this into perspective of what is happening today. The violence, the hate, the anger, the protesting, the rioting. Keep in mind a certain percentage or critical mass was needed to reach this to make the turmoil in the world that we see today. So the violence, the riots, the looting, the vandalism were actually paid for by other people. And then nothing was done about it for a long time. I need you to think about this because they were producing a mass amount of negative energy. So ask yourself, what was the reason for them doing this? It was to create and hit that tipping point, to reach that critical mass percentage in order to affect the collective consciousness of mankind. I will tell you this spontaneous change in behavior of the collective consciousness of any specific group can be reversed. We can do our part by awakening and helping those affected. The biggest effect will be to practice spiritual concepts, your religions, get together, have fun, dance, enjoy yourself, get informed, help others, be kind, do everything that's positive, and we can tip the scales back the other way by influencing those who are affected. And do your own healing to awaken on a daily basis. So when a critical mass is reached, then everyone will learn a new idea, a new thought, a new behavior, whatever it is instantaneously, be it positive or negative. We can make a difference and turn this change back to positive and tip the scales back to reverse the effect of those affected with this negative percentage. Keep in mind the concept of we are one, the collective consciousness, the morphic resonance, or 100th monkey theory, are actually saying also with the old sayings, you are who you hang with, or birds of a feather, keep this in mind. All of these sayings are saying pretty much the same thing. I do want to tell you, I had someone tell me not too long ago that we need to be the monkeys. So let's start being the monkeys. Let's start making this change, this difference that we need in the world. I will end here by saying don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And keep in mind, if you subscribe, you don't pay anything. Blessings, everyone. Say yes to the call. You are needed, and I will see you soon. Remember to practice love and kindness to one another. And I don't know what the next video is going to be about, but it should be interesting. So I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.